you.
Yes, I think, Ken, that we are live. Hi,
Woohoo.
everyone. It's Katarzyna Ostasz here, connecting with you from Dublin in Ireland. I am a certified Silva Method instructor, and I'm always saying that I have this privilege and this pleasure to teach this wild word no programming in Ireland for last 6 years. And today I am starting a new series on the Silva Method Ireland YouTube channel, and I am so excited. I am also a little bit stressful, I have to be honest with you, because if you would know Ken and if you will find out who he is, you definitely will understand me. So Ken, welcome. I am so honored. I am so delighted to have you beside me. Let us know, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What is the weather in the States? Because we probably here are very excited. And oh my God, we have already 6 people on the line. So very, very good. We are going to wait for a little bit more time because I won't have today a crowd on that place. So Ken, how are you doing?
And I am honored to be here too. As you said, Kate, this is our favorite topic. I get very excited about it. It's a joy. Never gets old for me 50 years later. And I'm sitting here in my home in this age of physical distancing. And if you can see behind me, it's a nice sunny day. It's cold, just like it is in Ireland now, but it's sunny, and that makes a difference. And things are good considering what we're all going through and the concerns that we share, and some of you much more so than others. I feel so blessed and fortunate. Our family's doing well. We're healthy. We're staying connected uh, through the power of FaceTime and video calls and even some connection. We go walking with friends wearing our masks.
Yes, but it's very good that you are keeping well. We have a first people on the line, so can let me maybe welcome our first observers. We have a Dermot. Dermot is from Ireland. I know Dermot personally. Hi, Dermot. How are you doing? So finally you can meet Ken, because Ken, I have to be honest with you, every single Silva graduates who completed the training with me, they know you, because always at the beginning of the training, I am showing your photos with myself, telling a little bit story. So guys, please do confirm for Ken that I am actually sharing a truth with you right now. So guys, I can see more people joining us slowly, which is great. So please maybe let me tell you a little bit more about Ken. You know, there is a huge list of accomplishment in terms of Ken Coscia, so I have to support myself with the note, but I really want you to know who he is and what he did and where you can find him, and then we will move forward to our chat. So Ken is a lead instructor and international training director for all Silva Instructor. So the person like me, we can always count on Ken. If we have any challenge, we can basically, you know, email Ken, contact Ken, and at least based on my own experience, he is definitely, you know, supporting our back, which is great. Ken facilitated so far the transformations, and he coached well over 100,000 people from all over the world, which personally I think that this is amazing. Ken is committed to the Silva method and has been teaching the work of Jose Silva for over 46 years. And I have to tell you the days, because you will see then I would say the board of everything. So since 1971, I think, Ken, that was your first year when you conducted your first Silva classes. You will find Ken on stage with some of the industry greats, as well as teaching Silva classes all over the world. He is the lead instructor and teaches the entire Silva method core material. As well, Ken is creator of some advanced courses, for instance, like Silva Mastery System, that I personally completed, I think around 3 or 4 years ago in London.
In London.
Yes, it was in London. Power learning, the lost sense, intuition, you programs, everything you will find on Ken website, which is www.silvamethodct.com. As the Director of Training, Ken is responsible for keeping educational standards in place for all Silva instructors worldwide. So there is really a lot of information about Ken, so I suggest you to probably visit his website. It will be the best to see how many things he created for us, and basically how amazing knowledge he has. So wonderful. More people are joining us. Guys, please let us know where are you connecting from. Introduce yourself. I invited Ken for you. Besides talking or chatting with Ken, I want you to use Ken. Ask him a lot of questions. This is your opportunity. You probably heard me. Ken is 46 years on the market. He has been teaching this wonderful program for the last 46 years. So I think that you won't be silly to not use him today in terms of asking him everything what you want to know. And we have Laura. Yes, Laura, great to have you here. We have Earthy Toes, Donegal Island. Laura is also from Dublin. Beautiful, guys. I'm so happy that I see Silva graduates today on this call. So, Ken, if we can start, if you don't mind, obviously I will be following our chat, because if I would see some question, I will be directed this question to you. Please let us know, how has your journey with the Silva method started? Let us know a little bit more about your beginnings. If you had some challenges, or maybe you were brilliant from the beginning like you are now, please do let us know how everything started from you in terms of the Silva method.
You're so gracious. Thank you for your warm welcome and your accolades. As I like to tell people, the only difference between me and you as a graduate is experience. Is years. It's actually, you remind me, the bio that you're reading from, that you got from my, I think, Facebook page.
Yes.
It's outdated. It's actually well over 200,000, and it's 50 years that I've been
okay.
doing it.
I do apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. It's me. I need to update it. But what's funny, I guess, by the way, I started when I was 10. But it's interesting. So people know me in this capacity, and yet it wasn't always that way. And it was 1971 when I first got involved. But I was a student at Boston University. I'm the fourth child of four, the youngest. Mm-hmm. In the early years, I had it the easiest as the baby of the family, meaning my parents were dirt poor. The home that I grew up in up to the age of 10 was condemned. They received baskets, food. But by the time I came along, my dad was doing better. So I got a lot of advantages to that. And I say this, what's relevant is I was able to go to private schools in Brooklyn, New York, and I was trained academically for engineering, chemistry, calculus. I was taking college level courses in chemistry, physics. I took 3 languages. It was a school by Severian Brothers. And I maintained about a B plus average, which is not fantastic, but it's pretty decent. And yet when I went to school, why did I choose engineering? Well, you need a job. Yeah, you need to do something, right? Yeah. I was told in personality profiles, I'm great in math, this is for you. My family's all good with numbers and stuff. But you can laugh at this. My sister, one of my sisters, 4 years older, we grew up together. She was dating a guy, and his best friend was an engineer. And I worshiped the guy. Oh, he was my hero. So I figured if he's an engineer, I should be an engineer. That's truly why I picked it. And I'm supposed to be good at it. 2 years, I'm flunking out. I was on academic probation. And here's a takeaway for everybody that I now understand. I was studying too hard. I was worrying. I had to do good. And it's like the harder I tried and the more I sought help, the worse it got. And my second year of that, it was like a living hell for me. I'm not a quitter. I just got a beautiful gift from my eldest son. 100 reasons what I like about Dad. He gave it to me for Christmas. And one of them is you never give up, which is true.
Yes.
So, and I was an athlete in high school, but I couldn't handle it. So 2 weeks into that year, I left engineering, even after the dean and the assistant dean encouraging me for business administration, thinking, well, maybe I'd be an accountant. Who knows? My brother had a big practice. And I went from a D average, 181 on the border of failing, to a D plus, from 181 to 2.0. So obviously something was wrong. Much easier curriculum. So 2 years of that, at the time, by the way, you want to laugh, I had hair to the middle of my back. I was a middle class wannabe hippie, if you will. And so I'm back in Brooklyn, New York. It's summer break. And my best friend who I grew up with invited, he says, we're going to go to a lecture on, and he was all excited like this, on mind control. And you're going to learn, Ken, there are forces out there that are trying to control your mind. And he went on, and you can build a memory, a powerful memory. That I liked. It got, and truth be told, his sister was dating the instructor. And this is in Brooklyn. He was opening up Brooklyn, New York for Silva. So we went really to support them, to fill up the room, help fill up the room.
I see. Okay.
So my intention wasn't there. I won't go into details, but we arrived 45 minutes late. We sat in the back of the room. It was packed with over 120 people. We laughed and giggled. We were there physically present, but mentally I was elsewhere. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But somewhere, what's really interesting, and to this day, it's very meaningful to me, as he was talking, I don't remember when, but somewhere in the middle, he went on for over 2 hours. Something inside, I felt this shift inside. I'm very kinesthetic, and I felt inside this like a magnet drawing me. And I found myself saying, yes, this is, yes. And that kind of spooked me at first. Like, was he hypnotizing me? So I was literally the last person to leave that room. He basically asked me to leave because I had all these questions.
Yeah.
And he recommended go to the library. And where I come from, anyone who knows anything about Brooklyn, New York, and I was raised by people who were very streetwise, always looking for the angle, always looking for the gimmick. So I went to the library to check the sources, and it seemed like he wasn't lying. The more I looked, it was present, the research. So, whoa. So now I'm sitting to dinner with my mom and dad. I needed to feed the money. I had no summer job. I'm a broke student. So I bring it up, and my mom turned white as a ghost. I was raised in a Roman Catholic, very dogmatic background. In fact, at the time, I used to be an altar boy, if you can picture that. My cousin, my father's first cousin, was a bishop, a missionary in Brazil, Franciscan missionary. He was ordained in St. Patrick's. He told us we had a pope in the family, a cardinal. So all of my aunts wanted their sons to become priests. So when I brought up we used to call it mind control, my mom turned white as a ghost. She took out her rosary beads and started praying for me and was so concerned. And my dad was watching TV while we were eating dinner, had 2 games, sports events on different radios. I didn't think he was paying attention until I brought up the money. And when I mentioned how much I needed, all of a sudden my dad turned to me and looked, and you can guess what his answer was.
Yeah.
I'll be polite. It was no effing way. I was almost in tears. Now you know how it is when you're young, when your parents tell you not to do something, then you really want it.
Yeah.
So I'm on the phone with the instructor. Remember, he's dating my best my best friend's sister. I was real close with her, and I'm telling him, I really want to be there. But it turned out he needed help in his office. I needed a summer job. That's how I got in. We traded, we bartered. He hired me, and I never left. I went through the class, it was 4 days in a row. My favorite way to teach it when we're in person.
Yeah.
And all the people I've worked with, by the way, are in person. We're not talking all the thousands and thousands on video and all the different social media sites. This is in person, small groups, large groups. And we went through, and in the beginning, the guy next to me, Raul Morales, remember the long relax, there's this beautiful exercise that Kate will guide you through in her classes. And all of a sudden we finished. He said, "Oh my God, my whole body is tingling." And he described it to the group. And I looked at him and thought, "Oh my God, I'd be happy if my little finger vibrated." And it didn't. And then I thought, "Oh, I'm his first failure." And I started putting myself down, like, I can't do this. This is not me. And I used to be president of the Warriors Anonymous. If there's such a club, Warriors Anonymous. I still
Yeah,
worry. Now I'm only a member, I tell people, because nobody is perfect with that.
exactly.
And now I'm all upset. And the instructor gave me some tips and worked. And finally I came around. And the next thing, I'm working with graduates. I'm conducting graduate meetings. I'm on the phone calling to support graduates. I was there. He had a center, an actual physical center in Brooklyn. I can still picture it. And I was there almost every day, every class. In fact, I was mentored by Jose personally. Jose was in town. We made a connection. I guess he saw something in. I have a funny picture of me with my ponytail. To dress up, I put a sport jacket on, a goofy looking sport jacket with Jose, and he had this look on it. Jose was a very serious guy, but God only knows what he was thinking. He was one of his instructors. And and Harry McKnight, who was one of our Nelda Sheet was our first instructor. And then Harry came along within 2 years, and he helped to create the curriculum. Harry and I bonded. He became a close personal friend. I was with him, in connection with him, right up until he passed away. And they saw something in me, and I thanked them. I feel in my heart, such love for them, because everybody in my family said, "You could never be an instructor. You have no patience." I had a bit of a speech impediment, a bit of a lisp, very impatient, some anger issues. I didn't get support from anyone, but these guys did. So Jose, because I was a full-time student, he grandfathered me. I couldn't go to Laredo to the certification training. That's the only place that now I do them, but it was there, which is really cool. And I follow Jose. But because I lived in New York, I had a director in New York. I had one in New England, Boston. And these guys were the best of the best. I was so privileged because they really, frankly, put the Silva Method on the map. They were very sharp. Most of them didn't last because they were more interested in the business side, if you know what I mean. But I learned so much from them. And it's like my life. So during the day, I'm in school, and I never looked back. And one thing led to another. I'm teaching full-time as a Silva instructor while a full-time student. And by the way, I graduated almost the very highest honors, A minus, cum laude, it's called, just about almost straight A's. And I was, here's another takeaway, studying less using the three fingers technique. I'm a study guy. I stopped using aspirin for headache, not Anacin for headaches. And I'll just, what kind of inspired me was people, how they were transforming their lives. And then my mom saw a change in me. She took the class, and my mom was 4'11", very huggable, if you know what I mean. And she suffered from asthma attacks and arthritis. As a young boy, if I think now, all my earliest memories were of her in the hospital or in bed. I have pictures of me with her by her side in bed, and her looking like death warmed over. She took the class with Bill, the guy who was my original instructor. She stopped having asthma attacks. Her hands got back to mobility. Her doctor said she still had arthritis, but she didn't need the medication anymore. She took vitamin C, and then I gave her a tape of Jose, of the long relax. She wouldn't listen. She said, "I want your voice." I made it the long relax in my voice.
Yes.
I gave it to when we had cassettes. She listened every day, and this one went back to work. And even my family noticed. She said, "She's your best example." And so I tell you this because I'm no different than you. I mean, Kate, by the way, you guys, those of you who know her, one of the things when we met in 2014 that I always appreciate about you was her enthusiasm. I mean, she was like ready to rock and roll. I mean, we had a really good group. We were in Lithuania, in Kaunas, Lithuania. They're really cool, very heartfelt. Well, if they're listening, forgive me. But she was a standout. Kate was a standout, and I remember that. And we did this funny video. Well, it wasn't funny. It was a good video, but we were so excited, the two of us, and it was on lunch break, I think. And I'm doing this 10 days of training from 9 in the morning till 7.
Yeah.
And then she's got me working on my lunch break. And we did a video outside in the
Yeah.
courtyard. And we
Yeah.
didn't realize it. We were so excited. There was an
Yeah.
air conditioner. It might still be on. I know it's on my YouTube
It is.
channel.
It's still on my YouTube channel. And thank
Yeah.
you so much, Ken, for this reminder. Everyone who is here, I'm just going, guys, actually, call your name because I know so many of you here. We have kind of more people, which is great. So let me first of all welcome everyone. We have Earthy Toes. I've already said hi to Dermot, to Laura. We have Psychic Medium. We have Ventas. Hi, Ventas. We have Jasmine. We have Sergio. Guys, it's so great. And by the way, I can't see all of your names. So please make sure to call your name here into this chat. And thank you so much, Ken, for this reminder, because I remember how excited I was almost 7 years back in Kaunas in Lithuania. And I remember how impressed I was by, be trained by you, but also being in these beautiful atmospheres with other people around. And you just remind me to share some of the photos that I actually prepared for this presentation. So guys, please let me share that with you, because you will see how great people we have in the Silva community. So let me show this for you. I think that we can see now the screen, just to confirm. Yes. So this is actually almost 7 years ago. As you can see, this is this popular photo, Ken, from my Silva Life System training. I always saying that this handsome, with the Italian's rude guy on my one side is Ken Coscia. And on the another side, as Ken already mentioned, it's Laura Silva Quesada. And she used to be our former Silva International president. So this is one photo of us. Then you can see us here having a dinner. That is still my certification training. Wonderful people around. We have Rasa here. We have, instructor from Canada, Greece, and I think Hungary as well. And as
Turkey,
you can see,
Hungary.
Turkey is exactly Turkey, Hungary. And you can see Ken sitting on the back. As always, probably he wanted to say some joke when we had this photo. And here you can see me with Ken. I think that around 3 years after, yes, teaching my Silva trainings here in Ireland, exactly, I wanted to broaden my knowledge. I wanted to basically increase my knowledge, and I decided to invest in myself and meet Ken again in London. And I completed his Silva Mastery seminar that, anyway, I would recommend to everyone. So I'm not sure, Ken, if you are running this seminar right now, but if not, probably near future, you might do this. Here is, again, after 2 days of this beautiful training with my certification, we have also Gabriel here. Gabriel is the director of the Silva Method in the UK. Hopefully, maybe one day I'm going to have a chat with him as well on this channel. We will see. And another photo as well with one of the Silva. Yeah, June. She actually wrote a beautiful book as well about her own experience and the impact that Silva Method had on her life. And here is the Ken in action, as you can see. Very dynamic person, very structured. That's why I'm always laughing. And I have to be honest with you that the presentation that you can see that I am using during my Silva Method Foundation trainings is actually coming from Ken. So that's why you're always complimented me on the structures and everything, because I got it from Ken. So guys, that's really enough. A little bit, funny photos and stories, which I think you might like it. And we have more people as well joining us. Super. So guys, because we are, let's say, kind of after our first part of this conversation, let us know what is your insight so far from everything what Ken share with us, because personally, I've already got few insight for myself. So please do let us know, what do you think? What are you taking from this beginning of our conversation? And I think that we are going to move forward, further, because what I really wanted to ask you today, you probably know yourself, in our classroom, now we have this online meeting. We are meeting many people with a lot of challenges. They are coming from the different background. They are joining your classes, my classes, because they really want to improve their life. Very often it's all about their health challenges. Very often it's all about improving their relationship, businesses, even like, attitude and perspective in terms of their life. I want to ask you how you would describe the Silva method, all of this dynamic meditation, in terms of being supporting tools for us, as a person. Because what is very important for me to hear from you today is, why would you recommend for us meditation, practice of meditation, in terms of doing that every day? And why, according to you, it's very important to listen to our intuition? Because as you probably agree with me, especially the Silva intuitive part, it's all about becoming a friend with our intuition. So I know that I asked you plenty questions, but I believe that you are going to sum up everything on the way like we want you to.
Okay.
To summarize it for us. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a great question for that. If you just briefly turn the clock back, 1953, when Jose was doing his work with the children, it was initially 22 years, and he was researching hypnosis. He was a master hypnotist. I went through with him what he called professional hypnosis training. He also but he was more attracted to meditation, and he basically married the two together. He was also studying what then was leading brain science, biofeedback, beta, alpha, theta, and then a lot of psychology, humanistic psychology in particular. So we all know that history in bringing that together. However, what started the whole thing for him was the act of love and wanting to help his children learn faster, learn easier, so they'd progress through school. And then back then, it meant a lot if you got a degree. And then in around 53, when they started anticipating his questions and they began to answer them correctly before he asked, at first he thought, oh, lucky guess. But it started happening repeatedly. And that was a big shift in his consciousness, thinking, I'm onto something of far more value than just memory improvement. And that's when he started studying parapsychology, the study of psi phenomena, or ESP, or and we know, call it what you will, remote viewing, intuition, lucky guess, what's in your heart, that we have an objective mode of consciousness, psychologists teach us, which the laws of logic and reasoning and our physical senses, and we have a subjective mode of consciousness, which is more the nonverbal cues. So I'm updating a little bit because Jose didn't back then have that language and that understanding. I wish he were alive today. So much of what he was criticized for has been documented by neuroscience. So he went on a mission and he created this structure, and it's a step by step. What he liked about meditation was there was more of an emphasis on you, the student, and Kate and I being facilitators, being guides, being coaches in the class with that. And what he noticed was, and back then by the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi himself, TM, criticized him. He criticized us because Jose realized you could get in. And by the way, everybody, if you only do this, if you only practice a form of meditation that calms you, it'll boost your immune system and keep you healthy and prevent illness and disease. It's the most important thing to do, other than all the safe practices today in this pandemic era. But the most important thing is to keep your immune system boosted, because then your body fights off disease. And I'm not making that up. I'm not a doctor. Study the life scientists, study all the epigeneticists, et cetera, with that. So if we just do that, but he found once we're in that state, that quiet, that peaceful state, we're accessing our subjective mode of consciousness, our inner senses, what for ages has been called your authentic self, that inner self, what psychologists for ages called the subconscious. And then you can think, you can focus, you can direct. That's active meditation. And it's a skill, it's an art, and it takes practice. And when you do that, it becomes dynamic. And why we call it. And by the way, Silva International owns the trademark on the American Dynamic Meditation System. This is way before Osha, is it? Who started way after Jose, was doing this. I don't want to be accused of copying somebody. I mean, one way I stay with Silva, it's an original thought. We were the only people in '66, in the early '70s, doing this kind of work. So here's the point. If you only learn how to stay centered and balanced and relaxed, what that does is it puts you into a state of being where you are stimulating what are called growth hormones. What you are stimulating is also the growth centers of the brain, the frontal lobes, the executive center. And when we're in that state of awareness, we think progressively, we think creatively, innovatively, we access intuition more freely. If you look back historically to any philosopher, any thought leader, avatar, and they were in their quiet moments of reflection. They didn't call it meditation. They didn't have that language then. They were very intuitive. They were very precognitive. They were very good at reading their, followers and people, and they were profound in what they were teaching people. Now, looking back, we understand where they were coming from. If, however, we are stressed, and especially now, by the way, friends and everybody, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm minimizing it, but today, in this current situation, fear is also, in my opinion, our worst enemy.
Yes.
Because if we go into fear, we go into primitive thinking, the survival centers of the brain. So survival and security are the two top priorities for the brain, for us to be alive. And if we feel threatened, automatically this takes over. And this back part of the brain is all about protection. It's defensiveness. And it's like putting a shield up, a big wall, and nothing will come in. And when we're in that state, when I grew up, I don't know if in Poland you had this expression, you probably did.
Yes, yeah.
Desperate people do desperate things. And we act irresponsibly. We don't act thoughtfully. We don't act mindfully. We make mistakes. We make mistakes in our business that cost us time and money. We say something to our family that we wish we hadn't said because we're in this defensive posture. So the first step, and that's why we call it structured transformation, that Kate and I guide you through, and every instructor across the globe, we've been in 111 countries, we start with that. So it's very practical. It has a lot of value. We have like 10 mini courses in our one. I don't know any program that, it's almost like we offer too much, frankly. But what we're doing is, I would say, we're preparing, we're setting the stage. We're creating a pathway to the higher self. We're creating a pathway to our spiritual self so that we can freely access our subjective senses with awareness, conscious awareness, and control so that we can turn it on more easily, turn it off. And it's an art. And then we need to practice. And then we call it case working or exercises and intuition. It's called in peak performance studies. By the way, if you study peak performance studies and the people doing the research, I'm really saying, hey, the old man was on the money. Because when we do our games of intuition all throughout the Silva class, the 4 full days of training, you get immediate feedback. And sometimes you're way off and it's like, oh, I messed up on that. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, Kate, did I do that?
I know that, yeah.
And then you're in the middle. But then you begin to discern, and I'll finish with this and let you go on. I'm sorry, I'm hogging it. But I get so excited talking about this. You got to watch me. I'm sorry. But what's important here is the takeaway. You begin to recognize patterns of thought, and you begin to discern, make distinctions. Question of, yes, what's the difference that made the difference when I was accurate and when I was off? And it's hard to put into words. You begin to recognize, for some people, there's visual patterns. For some people, they feel it in their gut.
Yeah.
Some people feel it in their hands. Some people, who hear things, a voice guiding them. And for some, the type, they get it all. But when you recognize that feedback is so important. By the way, if you're a graduate, it's so important to review periodically, or at least go in your study groups and practice this, because we're always learning. We're always learning. And you want to refine that. And if you're new to this and you haven't been through the live training, I see some of you read the books, fantastic. I saw one of Kate's posts, the little blue book. That's the best one to start with, even
Yes.
though it has the old language, but it gives exercises. When you're in Kate's guidance, totally different. Even virtually, even virtually, I was skeptical, by the way. I've done many of them now. I even do my mastery virtually. And I told the group, I don't know how this is going to work. You
Yeah.
asked me to do this. I'm going to do it to support you, and I'm going to judge it and evaluate. And holy mackerel, it's not quite the same. It still doesn't stand as close to when we're in person. But man, oh man,
Yeah.
people are having impact. People are transforming. And it's so that's it. And what I'm working on saying, I'll finish saying is the mission of the Silva Method always has been, since the mid 1950s, to awaken and develop the subjective faculties of the human mind. Everything else is a bonus. Everything else is an intermediary step leading us
How
in
many
that
bonuses
direction.
we do have? Sorry for interruption, but how many bonuses we have in that course? It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, go on. It's fun. And they're bonuses, but yet they're important. For example, the most common thing I'm hearing from people today is trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep, or waking up, and then they have anxiousness and this, the monkey mind, or they're worrying, or they start engaging in a worrisome thought. So if people are not sleeping properly, by the way, friends, another takeaway, all the research shows science. This is science.
Yeah.
We need a minimum 7.5 hours to 9 hours of sleep each and every night. And if you're not, I know that sounds like a lot for some people. If you're not getting it, one way or the other, it will show up in your life as a deficit, and it will affect your vital organs. It will affect your health. Maybe not at first, but it catches up. And there are people out there who've been in the industry for a while, and I'm not mentioning names, you can guess, who are known for not sleeping much, 4 hours, nonstop. And I know their health history, and I know even currently some of them have been really challenged with their health. And I've been following some of these sleep researchers for 50 years since I started. And so my point is, if you're not sleeping properly, that will cause you to go into survival mode. So the state of being we want is where we are centered, balanced, in a state of grace, of appreciation and joy, because those emotions are the driving force for your manifestation skills.
That's wonderful. And just listening to you very carefully, with the huge attention, I just only wanted to add this because this is exactly what you said, Ten, in terms of the intuition and in terms of how people are surprising themselves during our training. They are so accurate that they cannot really believe that they are able to basically do, all this intuitive game, let's call it like that we actually did in the class. So thank you so much. It's beautiful. And I think that you sum up everything what we actually teach and what the Silva mission is. Let me now follow a little bit comments here. We have Fernando here from Finland, and this is Ken Coscia.
Hey,
How are
Fernando.
you? He said, not active Silva instructor there. So Ken, do something for Fernando and bring somebody out there. I'm only joking, obviously. We have a Jasmine, beautiful comments. Silva Method opens up our abilities to heal ourselves and others, to do work on earth for the greater good of all. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's so wonderful to hear it. Then, there is a lot of conversation between Earthy Toes and Dermot. They are Silva graduates, beautiful. It's great, guys, to see that you are here, very interactive.
Can I add something?
Yes.
While you're looking at the comments, what Jasmine said, and I saw even Earthy Tones and others, really is why we do what we do. It's not just about being psychic or intuitive.
Yes.
I read these books, all these famous psychics, and it's like most of them got their start in Silva, by the way, or many of them at least. It's like, wow, that's fantastic, but what are you doing with it? So what our mission is what's very inspiring is when we hear from our grads, when we do these case studies and we invite them, is there anybody in your life you're concerned about who has a real health challenge right now? And then I hear back. Now, I admit it's not 100%, it's not close to it, But so often, more times than I can remember, people get back and say, was it our programming? They're improving. All of a sudden, they're showing signs and the doctors were giving up on them. Or maybe we made a mistake and we misdiagnosed. It's like, whoa, there are people in my life, in my immediate family, who were told they had 3 years to live. Or I've been working since I first did Silva, and they're still kicking and going strong. So that what some call absent healing or prayer healing or remote healing is that we believe in that. And more scientists, they're still very skeptical scientists, absolutely, because we need more research. But
Of
there's a
course.
growing body recognizing that we make a difference. And this idea of making the world a better place, this is, we're a seminar company, and this is what Kate and I do our career. And this is how we can connect with you guys. So it's our business, sure. But I think I can speak for her that she wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't so helpful to people, because we're on a mission to help the world, help humanity to evolve to a better place. So we're all a little more kinder, a little bit more generous, a little bit friendlier, a little bit more loving. And even if we just do that for ourselves and our immediate family, then anyone we interact with, we're a little bit kinder, a little bit more generous, and that makes their day easier. And if they do that, just do the math. And I would say, having started as a pioneer in this way back, and even in '84, when Jose picked me, there were 1,000 instructors globally. There were only 4 in the world doing advanced training. And he picked me to become one of those 4 because Harry McKnight was stepping down to do something else. And
Mm-hmm.
Dr. George DeSau was like, my first reaction was, why me? I had a
Yeah.
list of people who were in front of me. And then, it freaked me out. And I
Yeah.
put hundreds of hours. This is how mastery was developed, how I put this program there, practical, and I began to travel the world. But one of the things he reminded us, his staff, was this is really our mission. Is we've got a big job to do here. Is because if we don't, excuse my language, we're screwed.
Yeah.
We really need to get on board. And so those of you on here, I so appreciate your interest and your just even sharing this and your involvement at whatever level you're involved, and we need more so-called light workers than ever. I love the Silva Method and I hope everybody does it. And I realize that a lot of people doing other things that are very valuable, very important. We need to connect with each other and support each other.
Yeah. That's
And,
so true.
and
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much, Ken, for that summary. And also, I see new people here. Good evening, Peggy. Peggy is a beautiful person, very experienced Silva Method graduates. Peggy, I'm so happy that you are with us today because you probably could share with us also a lot of beautiful story. So that's beautiful, guys. So what I really want to announce for you right now is that you can start slowly writing your question to Ken in the chat box, because I want to ask you now, Ken, about few his personal or even maybe business success stories in terms of Silva that you definitely know that, yes, I got it because of the Silva tools. I think that it will be very inspirational, Ken. And you guys, because you are joining here, it's more of you here. Please also introduce yourself one more time, and please write your question to Ken, because definitely we are going to have some Q&A session, I would say at least for around 20 minutes before we are going to finish our call. So you can start writing right now, so I would have a more chance to read those questions to Ken. But now, Ken, please, if you don't mind, to share with us something, that you definitely know that it's coming through Silva and it has such an impact on your life. Like, I think that it's nevertheless to say that we see you. I'm not going to ask you how old are you, unless you are going to say to us how old are you, but we can definitely see here today very dynamic, very, I would say, clearly in terms of communication, still very handsome man who,
thank
as
you.
you can see, has a very energy and passion to his work. So I can see this is probably the biggest results that you can already see on the screen. But beside everything what we can see by looking at you, please let us know something that, as I said to you, you truly believe is coming through or from the Silva tools. We would be very happy
Sure.
to hear your story.
Yeah, and perhaps I can put it in a takeaway. By the way, I'll be 70 this year in October, end of October. And if you look at people, regardless of their age, the research has shown and been very well documented that people who regularly meditate age more gracefully. It's
Yes.
not magic. It just has to do with the stress hormones. They become toxic and they weaken the body. So the most common benefit people report all across the globe is improvement in health. And we witness it in our classes as we go from the beginning to the end. Another common benefit is getting into what a famous psychologist, he's actually Hungarian, although it sounds like almost a Polish name, flow state. A flow state is a state of being where it seems like the universe has got your
Yes.
back. And just recently in the virtual classes I did here, for example, I'll be starting again end of January. I know you've got a class in February, a
Yes.
virtual class. And by the way, what people are telling me is, Ken, I've been wanting to take a class with you for a long time, but now I'm saving thousands of dollars. I don't have to fly to you. I don't have to stay in a hotel, etc. So, because eventually we're going to go back to in person. In person is where it's at, although the virtual is pretty cool. So, woman is an author writing a book. I can't use their name. I haven't got permission, but her husband is a very famous individual, has been on Oprah, written a book. So she's contacting publisher, and they have a publisher, no interest. She's going through the class, learning the steps, going through what we call mirror the mind programming. And all of a sudden, we're back the next day or 2 days later with the same group, because we in the virtuals, we spread it out a little bit more. And she said, I got a call from a publisher. It's a go. Individual, a CPA who works for big companies and does like a COO, chief, a CFO,
Yeah.
chief financial officer, with the numbers, and lost her job, thanks to the COVID crap. No prospects, nothing going on, sending resumes, and contacts. She's going through the class, and didn't happen while we're there. Then after the class, I met with that same group, small group, Zoom, and she told us all, I got some interviews. And so I followed through a week later, another week, and she got the second and the third. Lately was third call back, which means she's in the running, and we're hoping for her that she has that. These are the kinds of things that we hear. That word manifesting, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't like it technically because it implies magic. You got to do work. You got to take action. You got to take steps. It's not going to happen because you're a well-intended person. You need to have a plan, and you need to listen to your intuition. And you may get ideas that seem crazy. Oh, I did that already. You got to trust that, because when we're in that flow state, we are guided. It's a guided life. So big thing is performance. And here's a takeaway for everybody, whether you are a Silva practitioner yet or not, I hope you do. Frankly, it'll more than pay for itself. It's a tool I teach with Mirror the Mind. Is we know that emotion is the driving force. And if we're in a state of lack, if we're in a state of scarcity, that means we have high stress hormones, and we run the risk of creating toxicity in the body. We run the risk of going into that scarcity state, defensive mode, and nothing will happen. So how do you keep yourself in a state of grace? Well, if you've been following any thought leaders, everyone's teaching us, reminding us what? Gratitude, how important it is. Can you relate? And appreciating. So the surest way to have more business, more clients, is to first appreciate what you do have. And I mean, really, really appreciate it and wallow in it and give yourself a high five, a pat on the back, or whatever you do, and appreciate it. Surest way is, here's a little lesson. Years ago, in my worry state, as in my early years, struggling instructor, raising a family, my wife is pregnant, my business, Silva business, we have a home, put all of our money in for the down payment, and I knew every penny that was going to come in and going out. And I remember sitting there almost in tears, crying, trying to juggle with my credit cards, paying this and that. And I got over it, by the way, and I learned. But one of the lessons I learned was I pay attention to the metrics, they say the data, but I surrendered. And my wife and I work as partners, and I let her do all the bookkeeping, pay the bills. So all I ask her now is, are we paying all the bills? Are we saving at least 15, 20% of our gross net? Is the money also that we can donate to causes we believe in? And is the money left over for us to play?
Yeah.
And if she says yes, I'm happy. So the message is I stopped worrying about the numbers, how many students, how much I'm earning. And I would invite you at night, how can I serve my clients better? Ask God, ask Source, ask the universe, how can I add value? And I'm finding over these years, when I focus like that, how can I add value? How can I support my students better? How can I help them get through this trying times? Then the phones ring off the hook or people are registering. So you want to sit at level in your quiet space and think about why you do what you do. What do you love about it? What do you appreciate about it? And when you're in that state, and then follow hunches because you'll get ideas, things to do to add value and add that. That's so important in your business. And you can hold me to this. I have a video on my channel, one of my earliest ones, and I messed up in the beginning that I misunderstood when people encouraged me how to do videos. And I spent too much time introducing myself, I admit. It's called Become a Master Manifester in 2 steps. It's 26 minutes. If you listen to that throughout, guaranteed, and follow the process, it will help you to improve your business. It will help you to get whatever it is hired, etc. Real briefly is what I see. This is how I coach my students. We do this, and I see this all the time, whether they're coaches, whether they're accountants, whether they're looking for a job, whether they're artists, whether they're musicians looking for more gigs, whether they're at home raising their family, authors. We get the whole gamut in the class. Is in the morning, you want to own your morning. In the morning, before you do anything, do not put on the news yet. Do not have a cup of coffee. Take care of, if you need to relieve yourself because you've been sleeping so much, glass of water or 2, drink lots of water. Maybe in my age now, I stretch a lot and then meditate. Enter your level. I don't turn on my phone. I don't even look at emails. And if Kate sends me an email, I won't see it until around 11 a.m. my time, Eastern, which is later yours, and I read in the morning and then I prepare and I get more done, more productively and more effectively in short periods. So you want to center yourself and set goals for the day. Visualize positive outcomes, what you want, and with emotion, as if it's happened already, as if you're there. Now, by the way, I'm repeating what I'm sure Kate would teach you too. I mean, this woman is brilliant, by the way. If you haven't been through the class with her, you want to. She's so enthusiastic. It's contagious. Really. Sometimes I listen to her videos when you do them in English. I listen to them in Polish. I know a little bit of Polish, I'm pretty good with my dziękuję.
I know how thank you is, which is dziękuję, right?
Yeah, dziękuję. And so, but anyway, most important, at night when you go to bed, I've made this mistake myself too, and I learned the lesson the hard way. I go to bed, I'd enter my level, make sure you stay awake, so maybe sit in a chair, and I say, I could have done better. I only did this much. Big mistake, because if you do that, you're shooting on yourself and you're going to weaken your self-esteem.
So true.
You need to forgive yourself and give yourself permission not to be perfect. Meaning, take responsibility, own it. Man, I really messed up. And then go back in time mentally and forgive yourself. I give myself permission not to be perfect and make believe you're a movie director. Did you hear me? As if you're there back in that time zone, that time slot, whatever, and relive it the better way, the improved way, the way you would have preferred to be. So you're going to sleep first, acknowledging the mistake, forgiving yourself, giving yourself permission not to be perfect, and then redoing it, re-scripting it, change the story, change the narrative, as if that's what you did. So you're going to sleep because then your subconscious will integrate that. And if you just do these 2 little steps, you will see a pronounced improvement in your health, your well-being, in your business, in your interaction with people. You'll be able to more easily afford the class. It's worth it. I mean, you come back for the rest of your life with a small seat charge. You get all the ongoing support. And if I may, and then I'll quiet and take other, just to plug the Silva organization, we are since 1966 still out there serving the public. We may not be as visible because our marketing is okay, they tell me. It's okay. But I've seen so many come, they take the money, they run. Some last a year, some last 5, maybe 10 years, and then they're gone for whatever reason. You can do your own investigation. And we've been here serving the public in the good times and the bad times, in financial challenging times, the best times. And Kate does other things to subsidize. In my history, I've had to do other things. I waited tables. I loaded trucks for UPS so that I could teach Silva because I made mistakes and I wasn't much of a,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do so that you don't run up debt and so that you don't sit there. So you may not be working, and I saw some questions, you may not have your dream job, then take something that will at least give you some cash flow so that you can keep your head above water and get out of desperation. Very important.
That's beautiful summary. What you gave, Ken, for us during this hour is just amazing. And one thing that I have to add it, because I just want to emphasize that as much as I know you, and we know each other for the couple of years, I can definitely, guys, reconfirm something for you. Ken mentioned here about his morning routine and how often actually he spent time on his meditation. And I can tell you, because I've attended this 10-day certification training. And as I said to you, I completed Ken's Silva Mastery Seminar. And I remember that I was so inspired that once we had a lunch break, Ken, he went to his room or wherever it was to meditate. He really didn't want it, to be out of this focus. And I remember I found it like, wow, so amazing. And you know why I'm saying this? Because you mentioned these very important things that once you started to see yourself that you are growing, that you are getting better with your businesses and everything, you stop focusing on numbers, but you start thinking of how you can serve your community better. And I think by basically sharing my impression of you during these 2 trainings, I think that it's amazing, because basically what he did, as I said, guys, as I'm saying this to you, he went to his level, and all Silva graduates would know what does it mean, just to basically get more energy for the second part of the training. And I remember that for me, it was a big wow, that basically, he still wanted to be so focused, so engaged, so dynamic for us, because he wants to serve us better. So Ken, I had to tell you this. Sorry about that, but it was just
memory. Can I add something?
Yes.
Thank you for acknowledging that. As I always tell people, I'm not the know-it-all. I feel like the more I know, the more I need to know. And sometimes instructors, when I go to visit them, and a little hint, it'd be great to come to Ireland. I used to go to Ireland a lot.
Yes, we went for you one day.
No, actually, at this phase in our life, my wife and I don't care about the numbers. I really don't. And we'll come make a vacation of it and then do something if that fits for you. However, what I wanted to add with is, and they say, you still study before the class and prepare? I go over my PowerPoint, which I'm not using in the virtual. I'm using a board instead so I can watch. Yes, I go over my notes. I don't have to study as much as I did when I was in the early phases, but I do. I'm constantly reading, seeing how I can say it better. I'm not satisfied. I'm like a musician. I'm always kind of looking, how can I say it better? How can I update it? And I think that's I'm not special. I think it's so important. And anybody who's a professional and has longevity will tell you the same thing. And what Kate didn't tell you, when she asked me to do that video to support her for her website. And by the way, I want to thank her, because back then when we did this 2014, my tech skills were, I was doing teleconferences on the phone and kind of like this, and I had somebody building websites for me.
Started after that, so yeah.
She and her husband helped me. I said, could you please tell me? And she kind of guided me and coached me. But I remember she wanted to do this video, and I'm thinking, I needed a level break, not just to stay in the zone, but to recharge my battery. Because I found that I like to socialize. If I went to lunch when my students say, "Hey, would you?" I say, "Sure, it'd be great to be with you." But then in the middle of the day, I'd be, ah. So I take that 20 minutes lunch break. I eat quick. So I remember doing that with her. And then I came down, I was fresh, and we did the video uh,
Yeah.
for that. So, and can I answer two quick questions?
Sure.
I saw Earthy Tones mentioned, like, I can't even say it, tinnitus, however you say that, the ringing in the ears and so on. I turned 70 this year, but what is this, 2000? Earlier in 2020, I started noticing like a drum in my head, boom, 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 but only at certain times during the night. And I got to sleep, it was okay. I was able to, breathing. So recently I went and had a hearing test and they explained to me that's tinnitus. And, and, what I can tell you is, without going into it, we've had some, like everybody, family challenges, some real serious, serious emotional roller coasters that my wife and I support each other working through. So interesting enough, when I was in this state of more angst and concern and having to really work on staying centered, is when it would act up. And I noticed some patterns. So pay attention to when is it acting up. So it's not there. And I'm so sorry to hear this. So when people are meditating, if it's there, it can be a real nuisance. So do your best. And what I would recommend is listen to a guided meditation or put on the alpha sound. I know Kate loves the alpha sound like I do, or the theta sound. When I'm home in my that's where I am now, in our living room, and I have an old system, with stereo components. And if I'm not going to disturb, I jack up the volume, the alpha sound, and I've got real speakers with magnets behind it, which is important, not with the earbuds, without. It's important to have the vibration. And I jack it up, and I find that helps. It gives me a different focal point. Or I would tell people, just listen to the guided meditation, whoever it is, their voice, and that gives you a conscious distraction. It'll help. So work with that. The other thing is, I saw a question about the fuzzy visualization. By the way, my visualization stinks. I listen to my students and they have these vivid colors. And I listen to my students and they say my counselor is having this whole conversation. I'm in my 50th year. My counselors haven't said one word to me, not one word. When I'm sleeping, yes, I hear that. But when I'm at level, no auditory response, and my visualization has improved, but my kinesthetic self, my hands, vibration, and what I read and looking at people's face and their body, when I do even a Zoom class, I'm watching. That's why I want everybody to be on video or they're not welcome in the class, because it gives me feedback and I can guide them better. So you don't have to be a visualizer. Focus on your emotions. That's more important even than visual. And there are neuroscientific studies with brain scans that support that. The visualization is cool. It's a little simpler. The key, though, is the feeling, the emotion. And in early Silva, we didn't know that. We didn't understand that. We did sort of, because we always talked about desire, belief, and expectancy, but we didn't have quite the language or the science. Again, I wish Jose were alive, because remember, he taught us that. So it's okay, because if you worry, am I deep enough? Oh, my visualizations are good enough? You're beating yourself up emotionally. You're lowering your self-esteem. And we don't have time to go into it, but it's basic psychology. And when you don't feel good enough, you don't manifest as much. You need to recognize your strengths and value yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I love and accept myself just the way I am. And I add, and I want to get better. First, it begins with, I love and accept myself just the way I am. I am enough, and I want to get better. So you still take action, you still take training. You turn to someone like Kate for guidance, for coaching. You take a class, you read a book, whatever it is. You watch some YouTube videos, listen to some podcasts. I still do this. Not quite. Well, I read every day. Not quite every day, but I work out every day. 3 days, maybe at least 3 days a week. It's vigorous. I don't run anymore because I used to be a very serious long distance runner and I got damaged. So I don't. But I'll listen to the podcast with these earbuds while I'm walking. It makes the time go past and I'm learning, or when I'm driving a long distance for that. And it stimulates you, even though you know it already, it stimulates connections. And if you look at the neuroscience behind it, novelty and connections in the brain are most important. And whenever we have an inspiration or an idea, even if you hear it, like some of you, I can see, boy, you got a lot of cool stuff you're doing. There's always more. And one of the things that Silva will help you with is in the training is putting it all together, integrating it in a way that it's with you and you live it. That is our forte and our big distinction in addition to intuition training.
And the structure is very amazing. And I think that the Silva tools, once they are practiced, they are pretty easy. They are very simple. This is what I love about the Silva, because it's really all about the simplicity and then practice, being persistent. And obviously, like you said, observing your results, because this is very important. So Ken, we actually had a question from Jasmine, but I think that you just answer your question, because she asked about that fuzzy, blurry images. So I think that this is basically what you just said. In terms of Maria, you are interested in the Silva seminar. For now, I am afraid we are only conducting online courses. So if you are interested, please reach me out. You can also reach out Ken's, because, you know, we are now, for this moment, not really obliged by the territory. So basically, you can join the classes of any single instructor around the world. It's really up to you with who you are going to resonate the best. That probably would be more my advice. And Peggy, thank you so much for your comment. I'm just going to read this out. I've been living the Silva method since the mid-80s and play the Alpha method each night before sleep. I find the three fingers technique very effective. Many thanks, better and better. Thank you so much, Peggy, for your comment. Okay, guys, it's already an hour since I had my chat with Ken. Ken, if you have 10 more minutes, I would like you now, guys, to send more questions to us.
Sure.
We are going to wait definitely for a few more minutes, and then Ken would be ready to answer your question. As I said to you, please use him. We actually had so many people on the line. You are joining us, more people than I think joined us in the middle of our conversation. So for everyone who will be watching a replay, I think that this is what anyway will be happening. Please, guys, ask your question to Ken just beside the video. And Ken, if you don't mind, I would ask you maybe just from time to time for the next week to observe what's going on in terms of the comment box, because I know how usually it works. Even after my master classes, people are asking me questions, you know, a day after or 2 days after. So please, before then, maybe for the next day or two. I would also link to Ken's YouTube channel. I wrote the name of the video that you mentioned well, so I will put it into the comment, or even I can link in the comment box for you guys to watch it. And I am a Ken, obviously, followers, as you can imagine, not really only for my educational perspective and be better in everything what I do, but I just love the way how Ken explain things. So I can highly recommend also you guys here to watch or subscribe Ken Coscia YouTube channel, because you are going to have also a mix of different person in terms of Silva method. Dermot is saying big thank you, Ken. You are inspired. Hope to see you soon in Ireland some days. Yeah, Dermot, this is what we are going to do.
Can I answer 2 quick questions?
Of course, yes. This is what I wanted to tell you. If you can add something up, or
First is a question for me. Make sure you let me know how I can access these, because I've never used this format before, StreamYard.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy to check for the question. Is to go back to earthy tones. What I wanted to just clarify is the long relax. I know that when we become proficient as graduates, it's not as necessary, the long relax. However, one of the things I learned from Jose, and I find in my own life, is it's a good thing to repeat periodically, because it helps to kind of keep the body conditioned. It helps to keep the body familiar with deep, deep relaxation. So when you do that, it's nearly 30 minutes of just relaxation, not really, and then some great statements. In my heart, I think that could be of help to you, maybe just to do it once a day to see and look to see, is the tinnitus reduced? And if it is, yay, that's feedback, continue.
Mhm.
As far as the psychometry, when we do it online, uh, we can't do psychometry because psychometry means you hold the object and say, hey, like this, someone gave us a gift, and you feel it. And you got to actually, that's what psychometry is. You're feeling physically the vibes. So what I've been doing in my class, and maybe Kate does too, is say, well, let's play a game just to exercise intuition. And I'll be the sender, telepathy. I'm thinking a thought about and I'll take one of my objects. And it's not quite the same, but it's still practice. So ask questions. A key with intuition is ask questions. What am I feeling? What does this mean to me? What can I learn from this? So ask simple questions, yes and no type questions, or multiple choice, because otherwise we get confused and all over the place, especially with intuition. No matter what level you're at, you want to ask simple questions.
Yes, and you have one more question. This is an amazing question. I would be interested to know this as well, Ken. So when you took a class with Jose, what do you consider is the best that you learn? Great question. Yeah, by the way.
Wow. I think the thing that stands with me more, because picture this, in the early days, Jose was in New England a lot because it was the most active of the Silva organization in the United States, possibly the world, other than Mexico. And so I'm in Boston class with him, and then I'd sometimes drive him to Rhode Island because the directors were too busy. So the best way I can answer that is what stands with me to this time was sometimes I didn't like sitting in I loved it, but I didn't like it because I start feeling guilty of all the things I could be doing, of all the applications. And one thing that I got from him, he used to say, oh boy. And Jose was not very tall, and he was a very proud man. He'd walk like this, he'd say, oh boy. And he'd look and he'd say, oh boy, we got a job to do. And he would almost berate instructors that we were taking too many coffee breaks in our life. He didn't mean actually drinking coffee, by the way. He meant taking too much time off. We got a lot of work to do. I'm convinced he passed away in his 80s, and he was in really good health. I don't remember all the details of, and it's not appropriate for me anyway, with that, because this man was a driven man. I would hear the stories when he was in Latin America. He'd finish up a class, and she knows what it's like. We need a rest the next day, recharge. And he'd be driving and he'd be doing interviews. He'd be on TV. He'd be traveling 100 miles, 200 miles over the mountains to go to another area to do another class that would begin, and so on and so forth. It's like, oh my God. And that's something that I really took from him. It's probably what's kept me going, because it's not a piece of cake. And I want to say this about, like, Finland, for example. We used to have a Silva instructor there, and she left some time ago. I know her more than a decade ago, maybe even 15 years. And that's okay. But the point is, it's very, very demanding on instructors. And I get contacted from people all the time who want to be instructors, and they haven't even taken the course yet. And some of them are offended when I say, that's your first step. How could you put your name on something if you don't agree with it? You might say, hey, this isn't for me. I don't want to bring this to the world. And that's okay. We respect that. And you've got to have a level of mastery with it. So your instructors, most, I will say, it's not always true, because there are other people training instructors. And over the ages, there have been Laura Silva and I, 15 years. When she came in, I was her mentor. Laura Silva Quesada, beautiful person. And she came in early 80s. And I was one of the guys who served as a model, also Paul Grievous. And then when she became training director, she didn't have the experience. She and I and another instructor, Jerry, kind of put it together and worked for 15 years. Then I had a bit of a time off because there new management, and that's okay. And then she came back 2007. But my point is, we really, I don't want to say demanded, but expected a lot of study, a lot of training, because it's a very important role. We need to be centered. So we don't take light with that. And that's what I got from Jose. And part of what he asked of me was to kind of honor his legacy, honor his proprietary process. And I will say, I've gotten into trouble, I'll just say it that way, from some because I'm so strict, because
So
I ask that. And
true.
even in the training, I don't let people into instructor training just because they want to pay the fee. And I probably charge more than anybody, but I give a lot of support and a lot of coaching. And as she said, I'm an advocate. So that's what I got from Jose, is the importance of helping to make this world a better place. And it doesn't have to be just through Silva. That's what we do, what we resonate with. Whatever it is that you may choose to do, it's really that important, especially today. People are too polarized. There's too much hate. And we do
Yes.
make a difference. And I'll say this to you, is I see big differences from when I first started in the 71. There's more openness. Where I live in Connecticut, Farmington, Connecticut, and I was assistant coach. I helped like when my boys were young, and I'd be traveling the world. I'd come home and help, and nobody ever asked me where I was, but what I did. If it came up, 2 seconds, because it was kind of like they were like this. Now those same people who are business leaders reach out to me, and we have coffee, and they say, "So what is it you do anyway?" My point is, there's more openness than ever before. We've made a big shift in the consciousness.
That's so true. And I can really resonate with that, Ken, because even when I'm going to recall to my experience when I did start, and as you know, it was around 6.5 years ago, to compare to now, it's easier for me to talk about meditation, about intuition, about everything what is actually with relation to Silva. So I can only imagine how it was, in 80s when you actually, let's say promoted, the Silva classes. So yes, and we have some even Irish sentence here. Peggy, thank you so much. I don't know Irish yet. Thank you, Katarzyna and Ken. Better and better. Maybe it's better and better, Peggy. Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, we don't have any more questions for now, which is fine. Thank you so much for everything, guys, what you did here, for your story, for your beautiful comment, for the impact that Silva actually had in your life, businesses, health, and everything what is with relation to our daily lives. Thank you so much for being with us. And Ken, I would probably let you add your last piece of our chat today. First of all, thank you so much. It's a huge honor to have the most experienced Silva instructor, especially that I am starting this new series. So I can't wait who I'm going to have here, because I am kind of planning to have more beautiful people, not only with such a great experience like you, but also people who are Silva graduates, who are living ordinary life, but they basically so grateful for everything what Silva brought into your life. So guys, from my perspective, thank you so much for being with us. Ken, one more time, big thank you is coming to your side from my heart, and I will let you to add one piece just as a summary of our conversation today.
Well, I think one thing we all need to remind ourselves, and I'll say two things, is you are far more than what you appear to be. In fact, you're greater. And that's part of our mission, is to recognize that, to become consciously aware of our connection in the universe, of our authentic self, our inner greatness, if you will, and learn how to manifest that in a productive, healing way for that. And it's my hope that we all do good, make a difference, whatever you want to contribute to your community. Make that difference, make that contribution, and make sure you have fun while you're doing it so that you look forward to it, and make sure you thrive. We live in a world where that's important. And when you're thriving, it's easier to stay in that state of grace. It's easier to come from your heart. It's easier. Your intuition will flow. It goes together. So I would say that. And I've really appreciated being here. I welcome the opportunity to talk about my favorite topic. So thank you so much. And in closing to you, Kate, I told her this. I want the whole group to acknowledge it. I have been playing with this because I get interviewed periodically, and then now, especially with social media, when we're doing Facebook Lives and stuff, and I've been talking with some instructors in Australia, in Romania, about interviewing each other, and we actually did some, and thinking that, and then here comes Kate with her invite, and I said, "Boy, great minds think alike." And this is a woman; she took action. I didn't. I mean, I've done some, but I didn't take action. I wanted to do it repeatedly. So, thank you for taking that action and doing it because it can only help. And it doesn't matter how many people listen. What matters is that we just do the best we can with each other.
Exactly.
So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Ken. Thank you so much, guys. And we are going to see you soon. And from my perspective, I'm going to bring another beautiful person for you for, let's say, kind of the same chat. It will be in February, but I will leave that for the moment as a secret. So you will think, yeah, who is going to be. So
Let's all guess. Yes.
yes, yes. Okay, Otilio, you just join us. You are more than welcome to watch a replay, which will be available soon. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Dermot. Thank you, Laura. Fernando, just saying by the end of our chat, Ken, that his father graduated in 1980. He graduated in 2050, and his son, who is now only 7, definitely will be graduate of the Silva. I love that because this is what I'm observing as well, that into the Silva classes, family are kind of, bringing their sons, daughters, which is amazing. And I think that I love that spirit amongst every single family. You can see how happy, healthy, and fulfilled those people are. So one more time, thank you guys. Great to have you on the call, and good luck with everything. Have a beautiful, healthy, and happy new year.
Happy New Year.